Grant Robertson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, I thought it would be useful to carry on this discussion with Dr. Clark because I don't think we're disagreeing at all here, in fact, and he does raise a very good point about the impact on the very people that Clause 207 alleges to help of the removal of the KiwiSaver kickstart. And you know, the Prime Minister stood up in this House and said that removing the kickstart would, and I am quoting here, not make a blind bit of difference to the number of people who were joining the KiwiSaver scheme. John Key said that. He said that. Now, it's interesting, Mr. Peters, because he said that, and then we got, under the Official Information Act, the advice of his officials who said this will significantly reduce the number of people who enrolled in the scheme. But Mr. Key took his own advice, an unwise course of action, and said, no, this is not going to make a blind bit of difference. Well, what occurred within a year, Mr. Chair, was a reduction, and my colleague Trevor Mallard always says you can't have a reduction like this, but a drop of 182% on the number of 0 to 17-year-olds joining the scheme. So in other words, I know, and Alistair Scott is making the point. So the point being here, Mr. Chair, that there was 1,188 people, a reduction of 1,188 people on the average new enrolments of 0 to 17-year-olds over the previous 12 months. It fell away, it's collapsed, and it's collapsed for a very good reason, Mr. Chair, and that is that was an incentive for young New Zealanders to get themselves into the KiwiSaver scheme. And so I do accept the point that Dr. Clark's making, which is that it is possible that some of those people who were enrolled now will feel aggrieved about the fact that they were enrolled because they don't get that the kickstart anymore. And so, you know, I think it's a legitimate scheme. It is indeed a kick in the guts. Kick in the guts for the savings culture that KiwiSaver has developed. The very thing in New Zealand that we've been so poor at for so long, savings, and I know the member has a history of promoting savings in New Zealand and the importance of it, but KiwiSaver has made a real difference, and this was a huge disappointment to a lot of New Zealanders to see that kickstart go in the budget last year, and as my colleague Dr. Clark says, who knows what they will do. So I do just want to put on the record, Mr. Chair, the fact that I share the concerns of Dr. Clark. What this clause did was say, create the process by which people could withdraw from the scheme up to the age of 19. I still don't want New Zealanders to do that. I still want young New Zealanders to be in KiwiSaver because long term it's important to New Zealand that they are. It's just a pity that this government has consistently undermined KiwiSaver over the last 8 years.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.